Hello everyone, thank you for joining us and welcome to this webinar where we will explore how to use Python to interact with Oasys LS DYNA environment. My name is Raghu and I'm a software developer in the Oasys LS DYNA team, primarily working on Primer developments. I'm excited to delve into this topic with you all today. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and made available on our website after the session. If you have any questions, please type them in and we will do our best to answer them at the end. Let us talk a bit about the existing JavaScript API. Until now, we have utilized JavaScript for scripting within the Oasys LS DYNA environment. Each program includes a JavaScript interpreter, enabling the use of JavaScript within the program. This capability allows for program extensions and task automation. It's a very popular and widely used approach. So customers increasingly ask us if they can use Python. The answer has always been no. Sorry, please use JavaScript. But until now. So why do people want to use Python instead of JavaScript? Python has gained significant popularity in recent years. Many people are familiar with Python as it is widely taught in universities, whereas fewer people as engineers know JavaScript since it's primarily used in web development. Python boasts an extensive array of packages available in PyPI, that is Python Package Index, that can perform numerous tasks. People often write Python scripts to automate processes, and our software could just be one component of a larger workflow. Additionally, ANSYS is developing Python packages, PyANSYS, to provide Pythonic interface to the software. Let me first talk about what we haven't done for Python API. The existing JavaScript implementation within our software is not being replaced by Python. JavaScript is widely used and will continue to be supported and extended. We have not added a Python interpreter similar to how we currently embed a JavaScript interpreter. You can continue to use JavaScript for scripting within our software. So what have we done for Python API? We have spent years in enhancing the functionality of our JavaScript API within the software, particularly in Primer. The current JavaScript API performs excellently and is highly popular. Consequently, we have chosen to equip the new Python API with virtually all the same classes and methods as the JavaScript API, rather than creating something entirely new from the scratch. Unlike JavaScript, Python will run outside our software. You can import oasys.primer/d3plot/this packages on PyPI to use the respective program from Python. Customers want to use Python outside our software. So we have developed packages for using the Oasys LS DYNA software from Python. Those are oasys.primer, oasys.this, oasys.reporter, and oasys.d3plot. We also have a new d3plot API for Python and JavaScript. The existing JavaScript API for d3plot was not object-oriented like the primary API, making it unsuitable for use from Python. To address this, we have developed a new object-oriented d3plot JavaScript API similar to Primer and used it as the foundation for the Python API. This includes new classes for model, graphics windows, nodes, shells, etc., resulting in an API very similar to Primer. Now let us go through a simple Python script that works with Oasys Primer. As Python is running outside Primer, the first thing a script needs to do is either start an instance of Primer or connect to an already running instance of Primer. At the end of the script, you should then either disconnect or terminate the Primer instance. Let's go through a script that prints a message to the dialog box. The line import oasys.primer imports the Primer package. We then use the function oasys.primer.start to start an instance of Primer. The argument to this function is the path to the Primer executable. We then print a message to the dialog box using the function oasys.primer.message. We then disconnect from the primer instance using the function oasys.primer.disconnect. To connect to an already running instance of Primer, it must be started in a special mode that enables it to listen on a port for gRPC messages. By default, Primer uses the port 50051 for communication with Python and allocates 25 MB of memory for running scripts. These settings can be adjusted by adding port and memory arguments to the start function. We can also connect to an existing instance of Primer by going to the Options dropdown present at the top of Primer and then selecting grpc/python option. We can enter the port number manually and then start or stop a connection. We can then run a Python script from outside the primer by using the same port number entered in the above step. Let us now look at another example where we create some nodes in Primer using the Python API. We import Primer with the line import oasys.primer. We create a new instance of Primer with the function oasys.primer.start. We then create a new model using the function oasys.primer.model. We display a message saying we are making nodes using the function oasys.primer.message. We then go through two for loops and create nodes using the function oasys.primer.node. We then update the graphics and display the nodes. We then disconnect from primer using the function oasys.primer.disconnect. We will now look at a demonstration of the script we just talked about. This is the script we just saw in the previous slide. We will run the Python script using the command prompt. Before we run the script, please ensure that Python is installed in your system. We will move to the directory which has the script. We can run the Python script by typing in Python followed by the script's name. A new instance of Primer gets started and the nodes are created. This script does the same thing as the previous one. The only difference is that we connect to an already existing instance of Primer. We do that by mentioning the port number as the argument for the function oasys.primer.start on the second line. If we start the connection from the program by going through the route options grpc/python and start the connection, we must make sure that the port number is same on the script and as well as on the program. Documentation examples and API reference links are all available on our website oasyssoftware.com/dyna. All the packages are available on PyPI, the Python package index. You can install the packages just like any other Python package with pip. For example, to install the primer package, you could type in pip install oasys.primer. We will now look at a more complex example in which a web app has been written using Flask and Python to analyze a cantilever beam. That is, finding the natural frequencies and performing a frequency response function. We'll take the input dimensions of the cantilever in the app. We'll be using oasys.primer package to create the cantilever in Primer with all the correct control cards. We'll then submit the output from Primer to LS DYNA. We'll then use oasys.d3plot package to plot natural frequencies and create GLB files from d3plot. We'll be using oasys.this package to plot response curve for FRF in this. We will finally be using oasys.reporter to create a PDF report in reporter. This is the app that has been written using Flask and Python. We will type in the length, width, and the mesh size. We'll click on Create Model. This will open the primer. In reality, this would all be done in one automatic process, probably in batch. However, we are showing each program being run interactively, separately, so you can see what's happening. In Primer, the model is being created. Now we'll close the primer. We'll then press Submit to LS DYNA button. This will run the analysis in LS DYNA. We'll click on Generate D3 plot results. D3 plot gets opened up. You can see the mode shapes being plotted. We'll close D3 plot now. We'll press Generate t-his results. This will open the t-his and generate the graphs that we will need later in the report. We'll close t-his. We'll finally click on Generate report. This will open the reporter and generate the reports that we will need. This is the initial release of our new Python API, and we are eager to hear your feedback. Please reach out if you have any questions, encounter any issues, or would like to discuss anything further. Our initial Python API is built on our existing JavaScript API. Let us know what else you might need. Thank you for listening. Just to remind you, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat and I will address them shortly. Before we move on to the questions, I would like to remind you that you can access past webinars or sign up for training courses through the links on the screen. To stay updated with our latest news, you can follow us on LinkedIn or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if
Perfect. Thank you, Raghu, for that. Now we're just gonna give it a minute to send some questions. Just give us 1 minute. Okay, so we have a first question. A recorded session will be shared to us, right? Yes, that's right. So after the webinar, we're going to post the recording on YouTube and our website. I can send it to you directly, Manjuna, when you're to your email address. Thank you. Let me just see another question. Maybe Mario, you can help with the answer of this one. Is the Python API available for every version of the primer?
Hi, Marta. Thank you. Yes, I can answer this. It will be available only from version 21 because this is when it has been developed. Version 21 was released in May this year, about 3 months ago or a couple of months ago. So it's already available to install in the Dyna website. You can download it from there and install it.
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you, Mario. Okay, just another question we have is why is Python running from outside the software? Couldn't we have a Python button as we have a JavaScript button and run it from inside? Mario, would you mind answering that?
Yes, I can also answer. Well, we could have done it from inside in the same way as JavaScript, where there is a button that you can click, a Python button and run a script. But we think that users want to run it from outside, and this has some advantages. For example, from the same script, you can interact with different programs. You can interact to Primer, Etherplot, THIS, and Reporter, and also to any other software. If you add more modules to your script, as you can imagine, this wouldn't be possible if we run it from inside, because we will be in the same situation that we are at the moment with JavaScript, that you run it from one specific of the programs and you cannot interact with the rest of them.
Perfect. Thank you, Mario. We're getting more questions. So next one is, how is this Python app created? We might need more information, or are you okay to take that, Mario?
Yes, I'm not really familiar with this with this app. I don't really know how it has been created, but I know it's a web app, and it has been used by using this Flask module. So if you are interested in this, I'm sure there's a lot of information online about Flask. If you will that, you will get some instructions. But the first thing you need to do, I imagine, is to import at the top of your script the Flask module by typing import Flask, and then follow the instructions. I imagine you will need some basic web development skills, but it should be quite simple. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was developed. It was meant to be simple, and once you have that, you can interact to the rest of our Oasys programs.
Thank you, Mario. And then to the person that asked the question, if you feel like you need more answers, you can always email us. You can see the different email addresses on the screen right now for more information. More questions. Next question. Could you please send the link to the recorded session? Yes, of course, we will do that. No problem. That's easy. And next one. Do we need primer license while dealing with diffreeplot? I actually might know that, but Mario, correct me if I am wrong. Yes, it's basically you need a primer license to be able to run diffreeplot.
I'm not sure. Well, you know more about licenses than me, but if you are only using diffreeplot, I don't know if. I mean, this is in the same general as we always do. I mean, the fact that we use in Python wouldn't change anything. If you can use diffreeplot at the moment, you should be able to use it with Python as well. But I'm not really sure if you need a primer license or not.
Yeah, Varma, we can connect after the webinar, and I will just double check what company you're from and which what kind of license you have and whether it's included. But generally speaking, Oasys Suite license contains of primer, diffreeplot, THIS reporter, and it should be able to access each of them. Okay, next question. Would it be possible to do batch processing using the Python module? Mario?
Yes, it's possible. In the presentation, if you remember, one of the first lines of the script was when we were starting an instance of primer, for example. So there is an optional parameter at the end that you can say batch equals true. So in that case, the program will run in batch mode.
Oh, that sounds quite useful, actually. Great, thanks, Mario.
All that is explained in the. Sorry, Marta. All that is explained in the documentation in the manual. So if you have a look there, you will see it.
Perfect. Okay, it's a bit of a longer one now. A bit of a stretch. Do you have any plan of incorporating the API documents into the LLMs, like Llama model, so we can query the LLMs to get examples of how to write JavaScripts and Python scripts instead of reading thousands of pages of manual to learn how to code in Primer?
we might look into that, but it's not something that we've already started to do. But if you are interested in that, please let us know ideally through support, send that emails to make sure that it gets logged and we can investigate it more in detail.
Yes,
and that might be useful actually.
Yeah. No, thank you for that feedback. And always, you are one of our clients. You can always just email Dyna support, and we could even arrange a small tutorial so you don't have to read through a lot of manual pages and make your work a bit easier. That's what we are here for. So please don't hesitate to contact us. Okay, next question: where we can find Oasys Python packages? That's on our website, right, Mario?
Yes, well, it's in our website. There is a link to the PyPI, I think it's pronounced, or PyPI, where you can find all the packages. So
Okay.
I think also in this presentation there were some links to that. And there you can find actually all the Python packages that exist in the world. So that's in the same way as any other packages. If you're familiar with Python, I'm sure you know. But if not, as I said, it's in this presentation and also in our manual and documentation, there are links to that website where you can see how they are installed.
Thank
Basically,
you, Mario.
simply in a command prompt or in your terminal, you can type pip install oasys.primer, press enter, and that will install the primer package. Same for this reported anti-hiss.
We can also follow up in an email and send the link directly if that's helpful. I've got the record of all the questions. Okay, and I think we have one more. Can we expect interface with MATLAB since MATLAB is also widely used? Ooh.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but I think we should be if from MATLAB, to be honest, I'm not familiar with MATLAB very much, but if from MATLAB you can, sorry, let me start again. If from a Python script you can drive MATLAB, then I imagine you should be able to do what you want to do, but I'm not sure. We need a bit more information.
Okay, yeah, so if you wanted to elaborate a little bit more, you can type in this chat or we can take it through dyna.support@arab.com. That's no problem at all. And just 3 more. I'm really pleased to see there's so many questions. So as Python runs from outside, will it be slower than JavaScript?
Well, in theory, yeah, this is something we've thought about before. In theory, it will be slower because we need to send information from Python to Primer and back. So as you can imagine, if we need to do millions of things, it will be natively be slower. However, in practice, whether or not this will actually be significantly lower, we don't really know yet, because we will need our users to test it in real projects with massive models and see what happens. So, for example, if you can imagine, if you are creating 1 million nodes with Python, there will be millions of times I will be sending data to Primer and back to Python. And this will make things a bit slower than with JavaScript, because in JavaScript we are already in Primer. We don't need to send anything. In Python, however, we're using gRPC to send the data forwards and backwards, and that may make it slower. But as I said, we will need your feedback to see what's going on with that.
Okay. All right, just 2 left. So the second one is, how do I install Python in my computer and the Python modules?
Well, this is what I said earlier regarding the Python modules. There are links to PyPy in our documentation and in this presentation. That shouldn't be a problem. But if you have any problems, please contact the Dyna support and we will be happy to explain it in detail. And Python in your computer, well, if you are using Python, I'm pretty sure you already have it. If not, you can download an executable from the Python website. I think it's python.org/downloads or something like that. And from there, you can download it and install it. You may need IT to install it, depending on the company you work for and the IT restrictions that you have. But this is like installing any other piece of software. That should not be a problem. Python is something safe. They are not going to put any problems to install it. I think you need Python 3.8 at least. So you have an older version of Python, you will have to update to 3.8 at least.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, Mario. And last question, are there any training courses?
We are thinking about producing training courses, but they are not yet available. I cannot confirm for sure now, but we will possibly produce courses in the form of e-learning. So it will be something not what we've done traditionally. What we will do is something that you can do online in your own time, following some videos and doing some exercises. But this is just to be confirmed. But answering your questions, we don't have the courses yet, but we are planning to do it.
Lovely.
Especially if we see a lot of demand, and for now, I think there is demand.
It seems like
interest.
Yeah, that's great. And the last thing is just a thanks for mentioning the Python versions from one of our audiences. Great. So I think that's a wrap. And thank you for everyone for joining. Thank you for listening. And until next time.